Let me tell you something today, loud and clear. Laziness is not just a bad habit. It is a disease. It is a thief. It's an assassin. It does not come with a gun. It comes with a pillow. It whispers to you, rest a little while longer. Do it tomorrow. Wait for the right time. And before you know it, tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year, and next year becomes never. You better wake up, baby. Every time you choose comfort over calling, you kill a piece of your future. You were not designed to sit back and spectate life. You were created with purpose, packed with potential, and called to dominate, not hibernate. You want to be successful. You want to be powerful. You want to be used by God. Then you better learn how to fight laziness like it's a demon coming to devour your destiny. You better rebuke that spirit of procrastination. Cast it out. Starve it. Starve it. Suffocate it. Because as long as you're lazy, you're dangerous, not to others, but to your own calling. Excuses sound best to the ones who make them. I'm tired. You weren't tired when it came to binging that show. I don't have time. But you had time to scroll for 3 hours. I'm waiting on God. No, God is waiting on you. Some of y'all been waiting on the Lord for 5 years when he gave you the green light 5 minutes after you prayed. You ain't waiting, you're stalling. You're hiding. You're afraid to fail, so you don't start. But let me tell you something. You are responsible for what you could have done but didn't because of laziness. Comfort zones are nothing but fancy prisons. You decorate them, you defend, but deep down you know you're locked in. And the only key is discipline, not motivation, not hype, discipline. Get up when you don't feel like it. Work when it's inconvenient. Pray when you're tired. Show up when you're scared. That's how you kill laziness. Let me speak prophetically to your soul. The dream will not wait forever. The calling has an expiration date. The opportunity will pass if you don't move. The world is waiting on what you were too lazy to build. Somebody's breakthrough is tied to your obedience. And if you don't kill your laziness will kill your legacy. Get up, show up, grow up, rise up, kill it before it kills you. You are not a failure. You're just asleep. You are not weak. You're just comfortable. But I declare today is your wake-up call. Kill your laziness and watch purpose from its ashes. Laziness is the silent assassin of destiny. It doesn't announce its arrival with noise or chaos. It creeps in quietly, disguising itself as rest, masking itself as delay, and dressing itself up in false comfort. It whispers to your soul, it's okay to wait. It's okay to stop. You have time. And while you're busy listening to its soothing lies, your destiny is being suffocated in silence. Laziness is not always about lying in bed all day or doing nothing. Sometimes it looks like overthinking, sometimes like procrastination dressed in the robes of perfectionism. It is when you know what you should do, but you just keep putting it off, not because you can't, but because you won't. And every time you choose an action, you give laziness more power, more control, and more authority over your life. Destiny doesn't die in one day. It bleeds out slowly from 1,000 small neglects. The missed opportunities, the ignored assignments, the conversations avoided, the goals postponed. All because laziness told you it wasn't urgent. But destiny is time sensitive. Every moment you waste doing what's easy, you sacrifice what's necessary. Greatness is never birthed from convenience. Purpose doesn't grow in the soil of comfort. If you want to walk in the fullness of what you were born to be, you must be willing to wage war on the lazy version of you. There are people who never stepped into their calling not because they were incapable, but because they were inconsistent. They had the talent. They had the vision. They even had the word from God, but they lacked the discipline to pass tiredness, past fear, past feelings. Laziness robbed them. It stole their energy, their fire, and eventually their future. And here's the danger. Laziness feels good in the moment. It gives temporary peace. But that peace comes at a permanent price. When you lay down your grind, you lay down your greatness. When you let your body lead instead of your purpose, you trade your future for your feelings. And no one climbs mountains by accident. You don't stumble into destiny. You fight your way into it. Every day you wake up, enough. There's a battle between who you are and who you're called to be. Laziness is the enemy that makes you settle for who you are. It tells you that, yo, get to it later, but later becomes never. And by the time you look back, you're surrounded by regret instead of results. So no, laziness isn't just a weakness. It's an assassin. It doesn't just steal your time. It kills your testimony. It silences your story. It buries your brilliance. And if you don't learn to slay it daily, it will slowly choke out everything divine inside of you. You cannot afford to be casual with something so deadly. Destiny demands urgency. Purpose demands energy. Your future demands discipline. Kill your laziness before it kills everything you were born to become. Excuses are the pillows we rest our potential on. They feel soft, they feel safe, but they're deadly. Excuses provide temporary comfort while quietly robbing us of the greatness we were born to walk in. They are the lies we tell ourselves to make peace with mediocrity. Every time we say, I can't, I'm not ready, it's not the right time, what we're really doing is giving ourselves permission to stay the same. Excuses are dangerous because they are believable. They sound like truth. They sound reasonable. You tell yourself you're too tired, too busy, too experienced, and it sounds logical. But deep down, you know those aren't reasons. They're walls you've built to avoid the work, the risk, the responsibility. Excuses are not about what you can't do. They're about what you won't. And every time you let an excuse take the wheel, you delay your destiny. Your potential doesn't live in what you've done. It lives in what you could do, what you should do but haven't. And what blocks that? Excuses. They're the soft places we lay our heads while our dreams rust in the corner. They lull us to sleep while our purpose cries out for movement. Excuses don't just delay progress. They deceive us into thinking delay is okay. But the truth is, delayed obedience is still disobedience. People don't lose their calling in one big failure. Most lose it one excuse at a time. One day they say, I'll start tomorrow. The next, I'm waiting for a sign. Then, I'm not good enough. Before long, 5 years have passed, and the fire they once had is gone. Not because God didn't open doors, but because they never got up to walk through them. Excuses were more comfortable than courage. And the truth is, God doesn't bless excuses. He blesses effort. He doesn't require perfection, but he does require movement. You don't need all the answers, but you do need obedience. Excuses make you think need to be fully ready before you start. But destiny doesn't wait for perfect conditions. The wind won't always be at your back. Sometimes you have to push forward in the storm, in the fear and the unknown. Because faith doesn't make excuses, it makes moves. Your calling is too big to be carried by excuses. Your gifts are too valuable to be buried under justification. There are people attached to your obedience, and if you keep resting on excuses, you'll rob them of what God put in you to give. That's not just laziness, that's disobedience. And you can't afford to be casual with your calling. So get up, throw away the pillow, stop giving your potential a place to sleep. You were made for more. Excuses may feel good now, but they cost too much later. Rise, move, and act because your future can't afford any more delay. Comfort zones are graves dressed up like living rooms. They look cozy, they feel safe. But what they really do is bury your growth while keeping you entertained. You sit there thinking you're alive, thinking you're free, but you're not moving. You're not stretching. You're not becoming. And if you're not becoming, you're slowly dying, not in your body, but in your purpose. The comfort zone is the enemy of elevation. It convinces you that staying where you are is better than stepping into the unknown. It tells you to protect what you have rather than pursue what you're called to. And because it doesn't hurt, because it doesn't like a trap, you stay. You decorate it. You justify it. You call it peace when it's actually paralysis. You think you've found rest, but you've only found a rut. Many people aren't stuck because they lack vision. They're stuck because they've fallen in love with being safe. But safe is not where greatness lives. Greatness lives on the edge. It lives in the uncomfortable. It lives in the moments when your faith is bigger than your fear, when your action is louder than your anxiety. You cannot soar while hugging the ground. You can't grow while clinging to convenience. And let's be real, comfort doesn't just stall your progress, it shrinks your dreams. The longer you stay in a comfort zone, the smaller your thinking becomes. What once was a calling turns into a hobby. What once was a fire becomes a flicker. And eventually, you stop dreaming altogether. Not because you aren't capable, but because you stopped believing it was necessary to leave the couch of comfort. There's a graveyard full of unfulfilled potential. Not because people weren't talented, not because they didn't have opportunities, but because they chose comfort over calling. They never took the risk, they never made the move, waited for everything to feel right, not realizing nothing worth building ever starts with comfort. It starts with sacrifice. It starts with discomfort. It starts with pushing past what's familiar. Comfort zones don't look dangerous. That's why they're so deadly. You're not getting attacked. So you think you're fine. But what you don't realize is that your purpose is slowly decaying while your environment stays the same. And you're either living in a grave dressed like a living room. It's got soft cushions, nice lighting, and a television to distract you from the fact that you're not becoming who you were created to be. It's time to move. Time to rise. Time to walk out of the tomb you've been calling a home. Growth only happens when you leave what's familiar. Destiny requires discomfort. Your future demands a stretch. So stop sitting in that pretty little prison. Tear down the curtains, flip the furniture, break the walls, and walk out. Because nothing alive should stay buried. And you were never meant to die in a place you were only meant to pass through. Discipline is the weapon that slays laziness. It is the sword you draw when your feelings try to tell you to quit. It is the hammer that breaks the chains of procrastination, the shield that deflects distractions, and the engine that drives you forward when motivation is nowhere to be found. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't shout. It doesn't sparkle, but it gets the job done. It is the quiet force that separates dreamers from doers, wishers from warriors, and the called from the chosen. Laziness thrives in a life without structure. It grows in the soil of indecision and comfort. It whispers that you can skip today and try again tomorrow. It tells you that the work can wait, but discipline doesn't speak in excuses. It speaks in action. It shows up when your body is tired. It works when your mind wants to wander. Discipline trains you to move, not because you feel like it, because purpose demands it. You see, motivation is an emotion. It comes and goes like the wind. But discipline is a decision. It's a life says, I will do what needs to be done, regardless of how I feel. Discipline doesn't wait to feel inspired. It creates momentum by doing the small things daily, consistently, faithfully. And it is in those small, daily actions that greatness is forged. Laziness tells you to hit the snooze button. Discipline tells you to rise. Laziness says, you deserve a break. When you haven't even started, discipline says, you've got more in you. Push again. Laziness will keep you circling the same mountain for years, while discipline will lead you up the mountain and plant your flag at the top. Let's be clear. You don't conquer laziness with a burst of energy. You conquer it with a commitment to excellence, a commitment to purpose, a commitment to becoming the person you were born to be. Discipline makes you dangerous because once you're no longer controlled by comfort, the enemy can't predict your next move. You become consistent, focused, unstoppable. Discipline doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger, strong enough to handle the weight you're calling, strong enough to keep going when the applause stops, strong enough to build what laziness tried to bury. Every goal you have, every dream you carry, every promise you've been given, it all depends on your ability to discipline yourself to move, even when you don't want to. Laziness is loud in the moment, but discipline speaks in legacy. It leaves a trail of results, breakthroughs, and blessings. And when people ask how you got there, the answer won't be talent, luck, or ease. It'll be discipline, the weapon you chose when everything else in you said to stop. So pick up your weapon, sharpen it daily, use it relentlessly, because laziness will always knock. But with discipline, you never have to answer. God didn't create you for mediocrity. You were not handcrafted by the creator of the universe to live a life of just enough, to settle for average, or to shrink yourself to fit into small spaces. You were made in the image of greatness. You were formed with purpose, packed with power, and anointed for impact. Mediocrity is not your portion. You were called to stand out, to rise up, to lead, to build, to influence, not to merely exist. When God formed you in the secret place, he didn't make a mistake. He didn't overlook your design. He didn't give you gifts and talents so you could bury them under fear and laziness. He placed greatness inside it because there is an assignment on your life that no one else can fulfill. Settling for mediocrity is not humility. It's disobedience. It's saying to God, what you gave me isn't worth using. It's shrinking from the weight of your calling because comfort feels easier than commitment. Mediocrity whispers that you're not good enough, not strong, or not chosen. But that's a lie straight from the pit. Because when God made you, He stamped you with purpose. And purpose doesn't come wrapped in average. It comes with pressure. It comes with expectation. It comes with a call to rise above the crowd and step into the excellence God wired into your spirit. You don't serve a mediocre God. His creation is majestic. His timing is perfect. His love is relentless. So why would He create something bland, basic, or boring? He didn't. He created you to reflect His glory, to be a light in dark places, to be salt in tasteless systems. That means everything about you. Your story, your struggle, your strength is part of a divine strategy. Mediocrity has no seat at that table. The enemy wants you to believe that settling is safety, that playing small is wise. But that's how callings get buried. That's how dreams die. God doesn't bless fear. He blesses faith. He doesn't bless hesitation. He blesses obedience. So if you want to see His hand move in your life, you have to refuse to settle. You have to fight back against the urge to coast and declare, I was made for more. Yes, the journey will stretch you. Yes, it will cost you. But mediocrity will cost you more. Your joy, your peace, your fulfillment, your legacy. Don't trade your divine assignment for human approval. Don't let comparison convince you to dim your light. Don't let fear of failure keep from trying. You weren't built for the middle of the road. You were built for the mountaintop. Stop lowering your standards, hiding your gifts. Stop apologizing for your anointing. God didn't create you to be mediocre. He created you to reflect His excellence. And now is the time to rise, walk in boldness in the life He destined you to live. Full of power, full of passion, and far from average. The world is waiting on what you were too lazy to build. Somewhere is praying for the solution that you were born to create. Someone is looking for a book you never wrote, a business you never launched, a message you never delivered, a gift you never developed, all because laziness told you to wait. Laziness convinced you to put it off, to downplay your significance, to get to it someday. But the truth is, destiny doesn't wait on delay. The world keeps moving, and when you stay stuck, what God placed inside of you stays locked away. You were not given vision for decoration. You were given vision for impact. Your ideas, your voice, your anointing, your creativity, they are not just for you. They are for the people connected to your obedience. Your gift is not just a talent, it's a tool. It's a solution. It's a seed that was meant to produce fruit in someone else's life. When you delay building what God told you to build, you're not just affecting your future. You're holding back someone else's freedom, someone else's clarity, someone else's breakthrough. Laziness doesn't always look like sleeping all day or doing nothing. Sometimes it's scrolling endlessly. Sometimes it's staying busy with the wrong things. Sometimes it's perfectionism in disguise, waiting until everything is just right to start. But while you wait, lives go untouched. While you delay, doors remain closed. Enough. The world is groaning for answers, and you're holding one in your hands, refusing to move because it's uncomfortable. You think you're waiting on a sign. You think you're waiting on more time, more money, more confidence. But what if the world is waiting on you? What if your next step is the key that unlocks opportunity, healing, direction, not just for you, but for everyone your purpose was designed to impact? Every great move of God required a willing vessel, not a perfect one. Not a wealthy one, not a famous one, a willing one. But willingness doesn't live in laziness. It lives in discipline. It lives in faith. It lives in action. And if you keep allowing laziness to be your guide, you'll keep aborting the very thing you were born to build. You are the answer to a problem in this world. You were created with intention. Heaven put something inside of you that hell has been trying to lay through distraction and laziness. But at some point, you have to rise up and declare, no more putting it off, no more small thinking, no more waiting until it feels easy. The world is waiting on your obedience. Your yes, your motion, your grind, the thing God gave you was never meant to stay in your head. It was meant to live in the earth. You have something the world needs, but it won't manifest until you get up, fight laziness, and build it. The time is now. The wait is real, and the world is still waiting. So now the truth stands before you, bold and undeniable. Laziness is not just a weakness, it's a thief. It steals time, buries purpose, and delays destiny. Every excuse, every delay, every moment spent in comfort over calling has been a silent agreement with mediocrity. But today, right now, that agreement is broken. No more resting potential on the pillows of excuses. No more mistaking comfort zones for peace when they've been graves in disguise. No more giving laziness the authority to silence the voice of purpose inside of you. It's time to rise. It's time to break the cycle. It's time to kill your laziness. Because the truth is this: you were created for greatness, not for good enough. You were formed with divine precision to be a builder, a warrior, a vessel of impact. The world isn't waiting for someone like you. It's waiting for you. Your gift, your obedience, your discipline, your grind. The time for delay is over. The season for excuses has expired. What God placed in you must come through you, not tomorrow, not later, but now. Discipline must rise. Effort must increase. Faith must walk where fear once ruled, because every step you take in obedience slays another piece of laziness trying to live in your house. And as you do the work, the real work, the daily gritty, behind-the-scenes work, heaven will breathe on it, doors will open, purpose will awaken, and the world will begin to change through the very thing you almost talked yourself out of doing. So I charge you, don't die full. Don't leave this earth with dreams still in your mind and greatness still in your bones. Get up, fight back, build relentlessly, move consistently. And remember, laziness doesn't die with talk. It dies with action. Now go out there and kill your laziness before it kills your destiny. The world is waiting. Let's go.